Oh my gosh, guys, look at this. Silver has raised 58 cents today at 28.16, and this is what it's going to do next. Well, I don't know. I'm not actually going to sit here and say that I know what silver price is going to do, because you guys know, if you watch my channel, I don't do that. Now, what I want to talk to you about in today's video is actually why I don't make super hype content around the silver and the silver price, and I try and keep it more realistic. Now, if you guys want to hear more about that, I beg you to stay with me for this entire video. This is just going to be a podcast style video. I'm not going to be in front of the camera. I'm not going to be showing charts, so you can minimize it now and just listen in the background. But I want to talk about why I don't really like making that kind of content, even though, yes, I do in fact do YouTube for a living. And yes, I know that I can make those videos and probably get a lot more views on many of them, especially the ones when silver price goes up, making a hype post about this is it. You know, this is it. This is going to cost silver to go to the moon. You know, I don't make those types of content. What I'm more interested in creating, and you're going to hear about this why in today's video, what I'm more interested in creating is market-driven content based on facts. So I'll talk about, you know, spot price premiums, what silver is selling for over spot, why it is selling what it is for over spot, and I'll even tell you what I'm stacking and what I'm not stacking at the time. So I have done many videos where I'm like, well, right now, I'm really only sticking to generic 1 ounce silver rounds. Why am I only sticking to 1 ounce silver rounds? Well, the premiums on things like Silver Eagles are just way too high. And of course, that's not to say I don't collect certain types of silver, but if I go out and buy something like this is a 2 ounce Pathfinder Red Dragon coin, or round, I should say. It's not actually a coin. Or if I were to go out and buy, you know, this beautiful piece right here, take a look at this, 2024. This is from Great Britain. Well, the back of the coin, I'm not a big fan of, obviously, but that is a absolutely beautiful obverse to the coin. But if I go out and buy things like that, you're not going to find me buying 100 of these, right? No, you're going to find me buying one of these, maybe 2 or 3, because, you know, I do a little bit of reselling as well. Maybe I'll buy 4 or 5 if it's something I really think that other people might be interested in. But you're not going to see me buy 100 of these and throw them into my stack. The premium's way too high. Why would I do that when, if for 100 of these, I could buy 100 or 100 ounces, I should say, in these. I could buy 120 ounces in a generic silver round like these, or a generic silver round like these right here, or, you know, these generic Liberty Bells, or even your typical 1 ounce Buffalo. Why? Oops, I'm glad I didn't crack that case. So yeah, I'll buy these and I'll collect them and I'll pay a premium on them, but I'm not going to buy, you know, a bunch of them and put them in my stack, because ultimately at the end of the day, if you really do go to sell, like let's say silver does do what some of these super hypey content, you know, channels are saying it's going to do, or this is what's going to cause it to do whatever, no one's going to care. Like if silver goes to $100 an ounce, no one's going to care that this is a Pathfinder coin. No, they're going to care that it's 2 ounces of silver, and I'm probably going to be lucky if I get full melt out of it. Maybe I'll get 180 bucks if I really wanted to sell it. Of course, keep in mind, and I know many people are going to comment, so I'm just going to say this right here. Keep in mind that I'm well aware that if silver goes to $100 an ounce, I'm not going to be selling all of my silver, because there's going to be a reason that it went to $100 an ounce. That probably means I don't want to hold cash, right? But my point is that it'd be way more important to have 120 generic rounds than it would be to have 100 ounces in these. That's kind of what I'm saying. But anyway, getting back on topic here, you know, when I think about that hype content, I want to go back and I think about, I get comments from people all the time that say silver sucks, or silver is the worst investment I've ever made, or silver is a scam. I get those comments on my channel so often, it's not even funny. I question, and I've said this in the past, I question, why are those people that are making those comments watching silver content on YouTube at all? Like, if they think it's a scam, why are they even watching, right? I don't know. Maybe you guys could answer with a comment down below. Let me know. I don't know. But I get those comments from people all the time. And I think their comments come because of, and I'm not saying every single one of them, some of them could have been stacking for 40 years. But I think a lot of those comments come from years of what I was just talking about. I think a lot of those comments come from years of hearing people say that this is going to cause silver to skyrocket. This is going to cause silver to go to the moon. This is going to make silver $150 an ounce. You're going to wake up tomorrow and see silver's $1 million an ounce. Or, you know, some huge public figure said this about silver and this is why it's going to skyrocket, so on and so forth. And I think people hear that, they listen to that, and they hear it over and over. It's beaten into their heads on, 50,000 different YouTube channels. And I know I'm being facetious with the numbers here, or over exaggerating whatever word I need to use there. Forgive my vocabulary. But my point is people get tired of hearing it and it not happening. So what my goal on this channel, and I really hope that you're a subscriber if you're in line with my goal. If you're not in line with my goal, don't subscribe. Like I don't want someone to watch my content that's not interested in my content. I would love for you guys, or even be a subscriber that's not actually interested in my content. I would much rather if you guys like my content, then you be a subscriber and enjoy it. And if you don't, and you move on. But anyway, my goal, rather than hyping about what silver is going to do, is to talk about the fundamental reasons, again, that I stack silver. So on this channel, I have coin dealers on all the time. We talk to Keith from the Coin Crew. I'll put a link for his channel below. I talked to Josh from My Night Coin and Bullion. I'll put a link for his channel below. And I've had other coin dealers on here as well. I call local coin shops all over the US, right? All over the US. I call local coin shops and I find out what they're buying certain silver things for. I find out what they're selling certain silver things for. And I share that data with you to help you make better, more informed decisions about what you realistically could expect in the current market at the time that I released the video. Now, some of those videos get a couple of years old and clearly they're not relevant anymore. But as they come out, that's the idea. And it keeps the idea, I should say, maybe it doesn't do as well as I would hope it does, but the idea is to keep my viewers informed as to what's going on with the silver market, with the prices, so on and so forth. But, I think, like I had said, people hearing all this hype around silver, they're listening to it. They're seeing these sensational titles. They're hearing people yell to the top of rooftops that silver is going to do this and silver is going to do that. And they get gung-ho about it and they go into it and then it never happens. And then they're like, man, silver's just a scam. Or man, silver's the worst investment I ever made. Like I invest in a lot of different tech stocks. I have investments in Apple. I have investments in Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, and a few others. And I've invested in a couple of other more risky stocks in my day, some that panned out, some that didn't. But my point is when I'm putting money into those things, I am, in fact, putting them into those thinking that the value of that is going to rise. When I'm putting my money into this beautiful precious metal right here, I'm doing it to maintain the value of the money that I already have. Now, granted, there are times where silver hasn't done a very good job of doing that. If you would have bought silver back in 2011, you're still way underwater today and it would have been better to keep the cash. If you would have done it in 1980, same thing. But there's plenty of times. I mean, we can go back to pre-COVID when silver was like $14, $15 an ounce and the premiums were almost non-existent. I mean, that's not very long ago that you could have doubled your money if you're really looking at it on that basis. But I'm looking at it on a basis of just protecting the wealth that I have. That's why I don't necessarily, and I will say the word invest in silver. I will say the word stack silver as an investment on the channel in the future. I know that I will, but what I mean really is that buying silver and putting it aside as a savings account that isn't in the fiat dollar. I mean, the reality of the fiat dollar is that we continue to go more and more in debt and it continues to buy less and less things over time. And that's not going to stop. At the end of the day, in 1964, when I don't have a quarter in front of me, but, when quarters were made of silver, you could buy a gallon of gas for a silver quarter. Today, you could still buy a gallon of gas for a silver quarter, just like you could back then. You've heard that old adage many, many times. It still holds true. That's why I buy my silver. I'm not buying, like I said, I invest in many other avenues with the intent to increase the amount of fiat that I have, but that's not why I put it into silver. And that's why I don't hype silver, because I want people that watch my channel to understand the reason that I do. And I would hope that people that are watching my channel stack for the same reason that I do. I know not all of them do, and that's fine, but that's really what I'm trying to portray about silver when I talk about it on my channel. So that's why you're not going to see really, high strong, gung ho, silver's going to the moon content on the channel. And instead you're going to see what I got offered when I tried to sell a bunch of 90% to a local coin shop, because in reality, that's what's going to matter to people. And I know, and by the way, I do 100% believe that nobody should be selling silver today, because people will say, why would you even sell silver? I get these comments all the time too. Why would you sell silver? You're not buying silver. You're not supposed to sell silver. That's not why you buy silver. I know, but sometimes people are forced to do so. And speaking of being forced to do so, that's why I also think it's very important to have an amount of cash that's comfortable for you to have, that will be able to cover any emergency expenses. I honestly, and I'm not a financial advisor, don't take any of this as financial advice, but I honestly think that cash is more important than silver if you only had the option to have one. So here's a perfect example. Let's say you need $5,000 as an emergency fund. That's what you've determined is the emergency fund that you need to cover any unexpected expenses, whether it be your car breaking down or a medical emergency or your cat gets hit by a car. You have $5,000. That's what you need to set aside as your emergency fund. And you only have $5,000. This is just my opinion, but in that situation, I would put that $5,000 in cash. Now, when I get above that $5,000, let's say, another month from now, my expenses were low and I have an extra $1,000 to spend. I still have that $5,000 emergency cash. Now I have an extra $1,000 here. Now I'm like, well, maybe I need to save it into silver. But if I honestly think cash is more important because, and here's why, all right? Here's why. If you were to have one of those emergencies and you needed to sell some of your silver, well, you're not going to have the luxury of waiting around to see when silver goes back to 30 or 32 or whatever it was, or 25. Whatever you had bought silver for, you're not going to have the luxury of waiting around to see what happens. So if you bought silver at 30 and your cat gets hit by a car, and the day your cat gets hit by a car, silver is 25, and you need to, your cat needs to have surgery, or your dog, whatever, and silver goes from 30 to 25 between the time you bought it and the time that your dog or cat gets hit and you want to have that surgery, whenever you have the car accident or your car breaks down, you're going to be forced to sell your silver and take a loss. So you need to put yourself in a position to where you have cash available to cover that, so you're not forced to sell the silver at a loss, and so that you can give yourself that time that you need to wait for silver to get where it is if you ever wanted to resell it. In other words, you don't want to be forced to sell your silver at an inopportune time when it's just going to cost you a lot of money. And again, going back to the original point of this video, the original topic, I think that's where you get all of those comments from. I think you get comments from people that say silver's a scam, or that silver was a bad investment, or silver was a waste of time, or, silver was the worst investment I ever made, or silver is stupid. I think a lot of those comments come from people that had the mentality going all the way back to the silver squeeze, where they're going to buy a bunch of silver. It's going to be the next GameStop or AMC or Bitcoin, and they're going to make millions of dollars on it. And that never happened. And now they're sitting on a bunch of silver that they feel like they're forced to sell at an inopportune time. So buy silver if you're going to buy silver. I'm not saying you should buy silver, but if you are going to buy silver, you should buy silver for a long haul. You should be holding onto your silver for as long as possible until, and if you want to know what I'm doing with my silver, I'll tell you this. I've said it before. I have 2 stacks of silver. I have a deep stack. These, and some of these, not all of them, are in what I call my deep stack. My deep stack of silver is silver that I never intend on selling. Like, I plan on dying with it. Now, it's there if I really, really need it. Let's say I go, because I do have an emergency fund, but let's say something major happens and I'm forced to sell it, then obviously I'll sell it, because, my life and the life of my family and our health and happiness is much more important than silver. But I do have an emergency fund to cover that. But my point is if I ever am forced to sell silver, I of course will. But my intent with this, my deep stack, a lot of this is deep here. This is all part of my deep stack here as well. And I have a bunch of other stuff that's not on the camera that I don't actually keep around me. I plan on dying with this. I plan on my kids taking it, and hopefully they have the same mentality I do, and then their kids get it. Maybe that's not what happens. Maybe they get it and they sell it. But I bought the silver with the intent of dying with it. I want to die owning the silver. I know you can't take it with you to the afterlife. That's not what I'm trying to do. I want this to go to my descendants. I want it to go to my kids. And I would love for it to go to their kids if they don't need it. But I would also love for it to be there for them to have that, have it in an emergency as well, for them to keep their money out of the fiat system, so on and so forth. But that's what I plan on doing with my deep stack of silver. Now, I have a light stack of silver, which I do barter with. I do buy and sell, so on and so forth. But once something gets into my deep stack, like listen, if I do this YouTube channel for 20 years, you're going to see these bars for 20 years, because that is part of my deep stack. I think you get the idea. So, guys, this has been a very long video, and I do apologize about the length of it. And I know I get off topic when I do these kind of podcast style rant videos, but the whole idea is to just kind of let you get into my head and know what I'm thinking. And I try and do these unedited. I may misspeak once or twice where I cut it out, but you know, we're going to say 99% of this video is completely unedited. You're hearing it raw from me as I'm thinking about it, right from the microphone to your screen, to your speakers, to your headset, whatever. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed listening to me rant and talk about silver and why silver is important to me, but it's why it's important for me not to, you know, overhype it. And if you guys did, leave a comment and let me know. All right, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.